few weeks ago, I stumbled upon a war movie that I hadn't heard anything about before. It had been released in September, and it was starring some pretty big names. Zac Efron, Russell Crowe, Bill Murray, and it was even directed by Peter Farrelly. How did I not hear about this movie? Oh, it was an Apple production, fair enough. Anyway, I gave it a shot, and it was an absolute gem. The Greatest Beer Run Ever tells the real story of Johnny Cheeky Donahue, a former Marine from New York who has several friends serving in the military during the Vietnam War. One night, while he's drinking with his friends at their usual pub, they come up with a crazy idea: going to Vietnam to give a beer to all the guys from the neighborhood as a sign of support. Of all the people there, Cheeky is the one who goes a step further and volunteers to actually do it. What starts as some crazy talk of a drunken night quickly turns into a rumor spreading around the neighborhood. On the next day, Cheeky starts being approached by people thanking him for his brave decision and asking him to bring presents and messages to their loved ones. Pressured by those requests, and by his friends not believing he would actually go through with it, Cheeky finds a ship he can board on to get to Vietnam, and that's the beginning of an adventure that will change his life forever. You probably got already that this movie is something unlike anything that has been released in recent years. Mixing comedy with war is something that is not done often in general, and only great directors like Kubrick, Altman, or Monicelli manage to find the right balance to make it work. Without elevating Peter Farrelly to the same level of those great directors, I have to admit that he actually managed to do an excellent job this time around. The absurd true story of Cheeky's crazy adventure in Vietnam is full of funny moments, but at the same time is a great story of personal growth, and a very smart look at the loss of innocence of America. In fact, the movie is extremely smart at making some points on war propaganda. Cheeky is a patriot, and it's made very clear from the beginning that he is a strong supporter of the troops, not just because he has friends in the military, but because he genuinely believes that his country is fighting only for good causes. I have seen many movies over the years set during the Vietnam War, and I think maybe only Born on the 4th of July was as effective as this film at showing the sad reality of many who were tricked by propaganda into believing the new war was like World War II. What makes the message so strong in The Greatest Beer Run Ever is that Cheeky is not a soldier learning the truth the hard way. He is a regular guy who becomes a witness of what was really going on in the war zone. So it is definitely a different perspective and much closer to the viewer. After watching this movie, I can't stop thinking that it feels like something that could have been produced in the early 2000s. In fact, it reminds me of the great The Hunting Party with Richard Gere and Terrence Howard. The quality of the script, written by Farrelly with Brian Curry and Pete Jones, is great. It balances perfectly comedy and drama. It has an extremely engaging flow, and it makes clear and strong political statements against war without being preachy, but in a very mature way. The messages you can take from the movie are coming simply from the journey of the protagonist. You follow him in an adventure, you see what he sees, and it's hard not to reach the same conclusions, especially if you know a bit about history. The script is supported by a very solid direction. Peter Farrelly manages to do a much better work than he did with The Green Book. The Greatest Beer Run Ever definitely has some of those classic American good feeling tropes, but it's not too cheesy, and doesn't fall flat in the category of Oscar bait movies. That said, it's definitely a movie that 20 years ago would have been running in the war season, and for some very good reasons. Despite the harsh critique of war propaganda, it's also a positive story, reminding Americans of their past values lost along the way: family, friendship, the sense of community built with your neighbors, and the shared moral compass. Some critics accuse Farrelly of being a coward for not taking sides, and personally I believe that is unfair. Farrelly is taking the side of regular people. It doesn't matter of what political belief. When it comes to war, it is not a matter of right and left. Most people can agree that it is not right to send young men to die in a war for the interests of the few. This movie is not trying to not offend anyone. It's trying to show the importance of finding a common ground, to stand together against those who abuse their power. which is an extremely relevant message nowadays. Zac Efron has done one of the best rebranding in Hollywood in the last few years. Everyone has been talking about Robert Pattinson distancing from his Twilight period, but not many are recognizing the equally impressive effort Zac Efron has put into becoming a serious actor. I recently appreciated his performance as Ted Bundy, and this movie is confirming he has done some proper work to improve his craft. Cheeky is the core of the whole movie. He is in every scene, so he has all the weight to carry on his shoulders, and he does it brilliantly. You follow him in his journey through the struggles and the happy moments, and it really feels like traveling with a friend. He's funny, likable, but most of all, human. Both Russell Crowe and Bill Murray have pretty small roles, which gives me the feeling they really believed in the project, and their solid performances definitely improved the overall quality and add some star power to a film that otherwise counts on a big cast of good but fairly unknown actors. As it happens so often these days, the critics and public verdict of this movie are completely different, but what can you expect from masses media taking on a movie against propaganda? The Greatest Beer Run Ever is not a punch in the stomach like an Oliver Stone movie on the Vietnam War, nor is a giant epic like Apocalypse Now, but it's a really good movie that you can enjoy and take something from, which gives it extra points in this day and age. Just consider that Wakanda Forever is being nominated for all the major awards this year. Compared to Wakanda Forever, The Greatest Beer Run Ever is Citizen Kane.